Alright, so with the official global launch of the game, there's going to be a lot of new players. And with that, there's going to be a lot of mistakes that people are going to be making. So in this video, we're going to show you guys some of the mistakes that I made and that you should be avoiding. So right off the bat, you actually have a choice to make when it comes to which pack you want to get. And this is where the first mistake may come in. So each of these packs have three different things: the starting Pokemon, the starting EX, and your starting deck. So the Pikachu pack is going to give you Squirtle as well as a Arcanine. And the starter deck is going to be a fire deck that has Rapid Eye. So the Mewtwo pack is going to have the Bulbasaur EX, the Marowak EX, as well as a Fighting starting deck. And finally, the Charizard pack is going to have a Charmander, a Executor EX, as well as a Grass type starting deck. Now, a lot of people will be picking their pack based on their favorite Pokemon, which in this situation most likely will be Charizard, which is okay, but that's a mistake. You want to make sure you do a research and pick which Pokemon you want based on the type of deck you want to build. If you want the best deck based on the best Pokemon you can get, it's going to be the Charizard deck. The Charizard has an Executor, which I think is one of the better EXs in the game, and is used in the Venusaur deck. And you also have a Grass type deck, which you can automatically use with the Executor as well. I think the Mewtwo deck is very good if you want to build a fighting deck. I think the Sand/Marowak deck is actually very underrated. Sand/, one of the strongest stage 1 in the game, deals a lot of damage, so you can actually build that with that. Now the Pikachu pack is technically the worst pack of the three, because it comes with the Arcanine, which is the worst of the three EXs. But you do get a fire deck, which is really good for rerolling, and it's really good for if you want to build that Blaine stage 1 deck, the one that requires Rapidash as well as Ninetale Fox. But for my situation right now, I'm actually going to pick the Pikachu deck because I want to get all the Rapidashes so I can build that Blaine deck as soon as possible. But again, all personal choices. If you want to get the Executor, you go to Charizard. If you want to go with the Marowak, you go with the Mewtwo. But for me, I'm picking the Pikachu. And technically, you can use the Arcanine in your deck as well. Now, another mistake I made was not looking at what was in each pack. Yes, it does actually show you on top, but that doesn't show you all the cards available in each pack. If I would have looked earlier, I would have saved a lot of packs because of the decks I wanted to build. And like I mentioned, if you look on top, you can see some of the Pokemon you can get. Pikachu EX, Blastoise EX, you can get Charizard as well as the Moltres, as well as the Executor, and then the Mewtwo, you can get the Mewtwo and the Venusaur EX. But this doesn't show you all the cards. If you go on the bottom left here, you take a look at the offering rates. Now, if you look at the offering rates, you can see there's different Pokemons and different percentages. But if you keep scrolling down, you'll see some exclusive Pokemon. Cool thing, Crown Rares, you can get them in any of the packs. But for example, here you can pull only the Mewtwo, the Venusaur, the Articuno, the Gengars, and then the important parts are these. Right here, when you come down, it's all the stage 2s and stage 1s. You can only pull Venusaur here. You can only pay Vaporeon, Articuno, Mewtwo, Gengars, right? I did not know that. I was opening packs until I can get the stuff. So look at the pack, see which one of these you can pull, and then pull for them. This is going to lead to our next point. Find which type of deck you want to build. Find a Pokemon that you really like and you want to build a deck around it. To be honest, a lot of decks are very strong, but there's a lot of decks that are very similar in strength to each other. A lot of decks can beat any decks that you want to try. You can have a stage 1 deck still beat all these EX decks, but choose your favorite Pokemon, build a deck around it. Or just pick a meta deck and build around that. And I'll give you guys a meta deck for each of the packs. You have the Charizard pack, which gives you the Moltres and Charizard deck. This is actually the hardest to build because you need to have multiple EXs in the deck, but it's a very strong deck to build. Then for the Mewtwo pack, you're gonna have obviously the Mewtwo deck. This is not gonna be as hard as the other deck to build, but you have the Mewtwo X and the Gardevoir, so very strong deck. And the Pikachu is probably the easiest of the three to build because you only require the Pikachu and a bunch of other Pokemon. But if you want the top of the top deck for the Pikachu, you would require getting the Zapdoses. So those are 3 decks of each colors. Now, if I had to choose of which decks I think is the best of the 3, honestly, it's the Mewtwo deck. I think it's the most consistent of the 3 decks. So if you want to build a super strong meta deck, that's the one you should go for. But honestly, you can build any of these 3 decks. They're going to be very, very strong. But for me, I'm going to be personally going for the Charizard deck because I also want to build the Blaine budget deck, and that's going to be in this pack. So another mistake I did do was opening multiple type of packs. If you're going to try to build a specific pack, you have to make sure you open the one type. If you start opening different types because you're like, oh, I want to get this Pikachu here, but I also want to get the Charmander. That's actually not bad if you actually want to collect the Pokemons rather than play the game. But if you're trying to play the game and eventually rank up whenever the rank system comes up, I recommend you go for one type. And like I mentioned, I would be going for the Charizard, but the best in my opinion is the Mewtwo because there's multiple decks that are very top tier that's in the Mewtwo set. And just to name a few cards that's in the set that's available that's really strong, the Venusaur deck is very strong, the Articuno deck is very good, as well as the Mewtwo deck. You also have the opportunity to get Koga, as well as getting the Coughing and Wheezing, which I think is a staple of a lot of stall decks. Not only that, you have a chance to get the Dragonite as well as Pidgeot and the Gardevoir, so those are some very good stage 2s. But for me, the reason I'm going for the Charizard is because the Moltres and Charizard EX, those are a great combo, and you also have the Starmie, armies, as well as getting the Blaines that I definitely need to build this Blaine deck. Now that you open all your packs, there's another mistake that a lot of people will be making, is spending your exchange points just on anything. A big mistake that I made was in the beginning, I spent a lot of my exchange points on basic Pokemons that I was missing to complete a deck. And as I played more and more, I've realized that it's a lot easier to get these basic Pokemon that are 35 points rather than get those stage 2 Pokemons or EXs. So make sure to save all your points until you know what you're missing, or until you know what you want to play for sure, because these exchange points are not easy to get. But if you know what kind of deck you want to build and you're just missing one card, go ahead and exchange those points. Now we're going to talk about the Wonder Pick next, and this is where a mistake that most people don't even realize that they're doing. A lot of people, including myself, might want to just use their Wonder Pick just to get a random Pokemon just to fill their Pokedex. But if you do the calculation, the best value is to go for an EX Pokemon. So you save your Wonder Points until you see an EX Pokemon that you want and you spend the points. Because the math goes that for 3 of these Wonder Pick tokens, it is better value than getting the regular ones, especially when you have a chance to get an EX. You guys can see right now, I don't have any EX that I want, so I'm probably just gonna go for something random. But make sure that you go for something with the EX that you want to get, because you get full value in case you pull it. But if I had to rank what I personally want to go for, it would be EXs and stage 2s. In my opinion, those are the 2 rares to get. You can go for those favorite Pokemons you want. Like for example, here, there's a Slowpoke, if that's what you like. You can get that, but in my opinion, the best to try to get is EXs. Also, another quick trick, always click the same spot, don't rotate. I know it's a little superstition, but if you keep pressing the same spot, you will eventually get the Pokemon you want to get. And once you collect those Wonder Picks, don't forget to send them a thanks and a friend request. Actually, the friend request is probably the most important part. So not only will this help you in one of your future quests, but it will also be cool whenever one of those friends actually open a cool card and it shows up onto your Wonder Picks. Make sure to add your friends as well, saying thanks. After you complete the basic guide, do not make the mistake of not completing at least the next 2 advanced player guide. You're gonna get a potion as well as X-Speed, and those are staples in most decks. So another mistake I made was with the deck building. I actually went into most of my games without actually changing the deck. Make sure you change and add the cards that you received. So you can see right here, I look at the deck, you can see I only have 4 trainers. Typically in your deck, you want to have at least 8 trainers in your deck, maybe even closer to 10, sometimes 12. But you can see there's a lot of Pokemon that you can't even use in this deck, and make sure to take them out. For example, here, I do not need this Jigglypuff, I do not need this Pidgey, and you can see I can add a, what's it called? A Rapidash, right? I can add a Arcanine. So make sure to go through this list and remove stuff. You can see I also got the potion and the X-Speed. So we're going to be removing Pokemon that I'm not going to be using. So for example, I have the 1 Growlithe. All right, we're going to go ahead and take off the 1 Center Speed. We're going to go ahead and take off the 1 Rattata. And we're going to add these. And just like that, we have changed our deck to be slightly better. And I feel like this is pretty obvious, but make sure to do all your soul challenges. That's how you get a lot of the packs. I know people might want to jump into doing games right away, but doing these solo challenges will give you so many hourglasses, and you're gonna get a lot of free packs from that. I'll give you a quick tip when it comes to combat. If you're trying to draw more Pokemons than trainers, make sure to Professor's Research then Pokeball. But if you want to draw more trainers than Pokeball, make sure to Pokeball then Professor's Research. Now this next mistake I kind of made was early on, was not saving my hourglasses. Because yes, in the beginning, you're going to spend a lot of hourglasses to get the Pokemon or the deck that you want to build. But as I get more and more hourglasses, I find it better for me to save them up for whenever a new set comes out, so I can get those newer Pokemon. I do understand if you don't have any of the decks you want, go ahead and use them. But if you already built a deck you want to get, make sure you save those hourglasses. My next mistake is I didn't re-roll my original account. Do not be afraid to re-roll when you get terrible packs. You can see right here, I did not really get anything good. I did get a Meltang. I did also eventually get a Blaine somewhere around here, but overall not the best. So I will most likely be re-rolling this account, and don't be afraid to re-roll. It does not take a lot of time. It might take 15 minutes. Re-roll until you get the cards that you want to get, until you get the deck you want to get. So make sure to re-roll. Now the final tip is just to have fun. No matter what any YouTuber says, no matter what tricks or mistakes you may have done, as long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter. This is ultimately a game about collecting. Unless you want to be hyper competitive, then it doesn't matter. But as long as you're having fun, you're collecting the cards you want to get, that's all that matters. And doesn't matter what anyone else says. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if I missed any tips or tricks. And I guess I'll open one more pack before we head out. One last pack. Maybe it'll save this run, but we'll see. Last pack magic before we head out. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If it was helpful, you let me know. If you guys have any extra tricks, nothing. All right, see you guys next time. Peace.